And so I'm an educator. And so the driver for me is that I see that the nature of work is changing. You know, historically people thought about a job as kind of stability and prosperity for life. And nowadays I think I tell young men and women that come to our university that a job is about learning new things, so that throughout your life you would change jobs multiple times, and successful people would have this upward trajectory in terms of what they do, the kinds of questions they can answer, and so they're going to learn new skills. And so what this means is that how we bundle ideas, technologies and everything is changing. And so in the sort of geographic information or the Earth observation fields, people are not going to learn everything they need to know in college. They're going to learn what they need to know for the next couple of years, and then they're going to have a job and they're going to learn something new, and then another job and they're going to learn something new again. And the more successful people are going to have more jobs and learn more new things from start to finish, in part because our understanding of the world is changing so fast. And so what that means for me as an educator, and what I've tried to do at my own university, is to think of people coming to Earth observation and geographic information from multiple perspectives, maybe from the map or from data or from programming, and that I'm going to be trying to engage and help train people with multiple perspectives to go out in the world and use geo in multiple ways. And so I'm sometimes about training people that are going to become deep specialists and maybe like me spend their whole career doing one thing. But most of the time I'm training people from economics, from political science, from international relations, from public health, from all facets of engineering to know some key kind of fundamentals about Earth observation or geographic information, and then they're going to take those things and use them in ways probably I haven't thought about.
So the question was about the mismatch in terms of the demand for and the supply of skills and training for the Earth observation sector in Europe. The challenge I don't think is just for Europe. I think this is a global challenge where the rate of change, the pace of change in terms of developments for the Earth observation sector is far way ahead of the ability to provide any kind of training. There are so many things that are happening, whether it's around drones or UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, whether it's about in situ or space-based observations. The technology is moving so fast that the minute you start to provide training and education around these areas, it's almost defunct by the time you've started. So that's a big challenge, is how do you look ahead and try to forecast what's going to be the next big thing and provide awareness now?
I think one of the key challenges is that technology is changing constantly. So it's difficult to keep up with technology. So there's an inherent struggle between teaching basic concepts and basic knowledge and also being able to focus students or learners towards what's necessary to utilize and to exploit the new technologies which are constantly changing. So it's interesting to try to determine how do we do both.
So the advice I give myself is probably good advice for the consortium, and that is to continually look forward and not look backwards. And so not be thinking of doubling down and doing more of what I've done in the past, but thinking of new ways to recruit and engage new audiences, and thinking of new outcomes and sort of different sized packets. And so if I'm gonna spend 45 hours with somebody, what can I teach them about geo that they might take with them and then develop in other places in different ways, and perhaps ways I've never imagined. And so not be thinking of one size fits all, but be thinking of multiple entry points, multiple outcomes, and to proceed that way.
My advice would be, don't reinvent the wheel. Use what's already there. There are existing networks, there are existing resources, there are people, there are already massive online open courses for training and education. There's a lot of skills and capabilities already available. I mean, if I just even look to GEO and what we're doing, we have an open data platform, which is 400 million open Earth observations, data and information resources in there. use that, take that, use it for training, for skills development, for even for doing exercises. That's one example of where things already exist and you don't need to reinvent the wheel.
I think one way that the education field can overcome this is by reaching out with organizations that are already working in these particular fields and the new technologies. So rather than thinking that we always need to be retraining our instructors to become now suddenly experts in big data, now suddenly experts in artificial intelligence, reach out to others who are already specialists in these fields and link to them. So take our current programs and link to other specialists who can bring in the knowledge right away. And of course, the topics are changing. So we probably don't need to think that we want to retrain everybody every few years. Rather, link to people who are already working in these specialist fields.
To take a look on the needs of the verticals and the final users, and to make accessible to them the data and the tools to explore with that, without the need of being an expert developing algorithms or experts knowing exactly which kind of data and which is the metadata. Forget about these things, but in the future platforms like DIAS, for instance, where it is expected to have this access to Copernicus data, it will be very beneficial also to have an educational platform where the users could play with data and could explore which are the possibilities that Earth observation have for their own business and domains.
The biggest obstacle would be to translate the user requirements into a products, services, etc. You know, sometimes users doesn't know the limitations of the technology and what they can have, you know, with our services. A possible solution would be to focus more on the user engagement and make them know the benefits of the technology and the services we provide.
For the private sector, the most challenging aspect is to communicate with the user, and the user is who is going to consume the products, who is going to take benefit of this Earth observation products, and because user uptakes means that Earth observation it's capable of accessing to all the society and to the different verticals market that are in the society. So currently there is a gap between the industry or the academy that it is able to understand Earth observation or to develop applications and the final consumer of that. So in this sense, it is necessary that the final user drives the needs for Earth observation. So in my opinion, it will be very beneficial that there is an effort to get Earth observation closer to the user and to introduce the training and education in all the society levels, starting by the universities, so that students has in the basic knowledge and the basic technological knowledge what does Earth observation mean, so that they can in the future to develop the different solutions, considering that there is an Earth observation capability to provide services, and not only in the aspect of what is needed to be observed, but also in terms of how to manage this business, which is the financial benefits that they will provide.
Well, if I think in my working place, if I had just to choose one major thing that's not allowed to a full uptake of geographic information, I think it would be the lack of skills in geoinformatics. I think that there's, as I said, a lack of knowledge on how to from storing data, indexing the data, being able to access the data, how to process it, how to analyze it. So I know in my working environment there's a huge demand for this kind of training. So it's something that we are looking on and how to overcome this problem, which is a problem that has to be tackled from the very early stages, from school, but also university. Because like this, once people try to apply for the positions in the public administration, they already have a little bit of fundamentals that then we can work on and improve. Well, as I said before, we need on-site training for our employees, but it is also, under my point of view, it's really important to increase awareness of these kind of technologies, not just informatics, but the geo part of the geoinformatics, which is to basically to be able to do all this data handling, data processing in a good way. So yeah, try to add this kind of training in the universities, and also as a vocational training in their positions.